Hello, welcome to the One I Have Spare Time podcast. I'm Frank, and I'll be sitting here talking to you for a few minutes. As usual, I'm wearing clothes. I'm wearing a green, jacket from Old Navy. I wear it when I'm going to eat messy food, and I don't want the nice clothes I'm wearing to get dirty, so I wear this over it. But you can't see me anyway, so it doesn't matter. I had something interesting. Well, it didn't happen to me, but last night I put it on my. I made a post about it on Twitter, so I forgot what time it was. But as you know, I live in a noisy area. The neighbor behind me has chickens, and well, you guys know what chickens sound like. And then the other neighbor, they're foreign, and I don't know which country, but you know, thankfully they're not Muslim. Thankfully they're not Jewish. Uh, but it's one of those foreign groups that like to drink a lot and drink in groups. Like the one thing about being American, like you can drink your ass off, but you can do it alone. Like you don't need the excuse. Like, well, I don't want to be considered an alcoholic, so I better invite 20 people over. Like Americans can get shit done by themselves. So, well, the trash can is empty, but the other day in my trash can, there was like three empty bottles of vodka. I drank them by myself. I pulled myself up by the bootstraps, okay? Filled a nice bottle up, and I had some tea, and I drank vodka and tea. That's my drink. Arizona tea and vodka. It's great. Drink it by myself. But anyway, and then down the street there is unfortunately a Negroid family, and they are loud. And because we live on, it's there's lots of hills over here, so even though they live all the way down there, I am isolated because I live on top of a hill. So every little thing, every little noise they make, it feels like it's right next door. And they play crappy music, okay? So I'm always being bombarded with sound, okay? And it shouldn't be that way. And I try to set the example, like I don't play loud music. Now, if I ever am loud, which I'm not now, but if I was loud, I did it knowing that everyone around me was at work. So there was like this 2 hour, in my opinion, just 2 hour window where it was like guaranteed that no one came home from lunch. You know what I mean? So that was my mode of operation. But now that people work at home, I don't get loud because like I know people. A lot of people work from home, and I do know a few of my neighbors work from home now. So I don't, you know, make noise. But anyway, so last night it sounded like, oh, I'm gonna tell you why I brought up the alcohol. Like I heard some noise in the backyard. So the first thing I'm thinking, it's raccoons, because we have raccoons here, and they like the orange tree in my backyard. And like you'll hear them climbing and making noise because they use the orange tree to climb onto the fence. And there's lots of cats. There's lots of animals here. Okay, no, there's not lots of animals. There's raccoons, squirrels, and cats. Anyway, So it sounded like my neighbor, because my neighbor drinks a lot, it sounded like he was in his backyard. It kind of echoes, but it sounded like he was in his backyard drunk. And so, because, you know, drinks a lot, but I'm like, oh, so he must be drunk, stumbling around in the backyard. Because it sounded like someone was in the backyard messing with the trash can, taking a piss in it. That's what it sounded like, okay? So I go to my door and I'm just listening, laughing because I'm like I hear, I'm assuming it's him struggling with the trash can, but I double check and make sure there's not raccoons going in my trash can because it's kind of hard to tell exactly where the sound's coming from. So I check my trash can. I don't see any raccoons or possums. Granted, not that I would do anything if it was a raccoon. Now, if it was a coon, I'd probably put my white hood on and go outside and scare it and go ooga booga. But no, actually, I wouldn't do that. And if it was a possum, I would have gone out and out of attacked it. For some reason, being mean to possums brings me great pleasure. Like I love hitting them with brooms. I love knocking them off the wall. I love scaring them. There's just something about a possum. I love bullying possums. In fact, if there was a possum furry, who knows what I would do? I don't know. Like things could get crazy. Anyway, sounds like my neighbor is struggling with his trash can, taking a piss in it. And you hear the trash can. Well, I don't have anything to replicate a trash can noise, but when you like after trash day, you take the trash cans back in. It sounds like that, and then you hear like, psst, So I'm like, what the? And I'm just laughing. I'm like, and I'm just like waiting for like to hear his wife say something. Okay, but anyway, that never happens. Then the I think it's a banana tree. There's a banana tree in my neighbor's yard behind the house. Like it it is rustling and I'm like, are the raccoons in the banana tree? I've never seen a raccoon in a banana tree. And I think that's the first time anyone's ever said that. Anyway, there's something or someone is messing with the banana tree in my neighbor's backyard. So I'm thinking, wow, my neighbor must be really drunk because he's all over the place. But I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm busy playing video games and on X reading post because X is just, at least my X feed is just girls posting thought pics. Girls under the age, actually the oldest one I noticed is 26 because she just said her age. But VTubers, gamer girls, e thoughts, basically just a bunch of like softcore porn uh, sex workers who post thought pics because guys give them money. Anyway, so I'm looking at my feed and playing video games. Okay, so I don't have time to really investigate my drunk neighbor who's taking a piss in his trash can in the backyard at whatever time it was. It was like wasn't it like 3 a.m.? It was something like that. Anyway, so then at 5:30 a.m. I hear the neighbor behind me, the neighbor that has the banana tree, going like, this isn't your house. Get the fuck out of here. And that wasn't his exact accent. He had an accent, and I never seen the guy actually, so I don't know. Um, it could have been Spanish. I don't know though. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, he's yelling and screaming at another guy apparently that you don't live here. And so apparently what happened was a drunk person went in my neighbor's backyard and I guess fell asleep hugging the banana tree. And then at 5:30 in the morning, when my neighbor was going to work, saw the guy and had a confrontation, and the guy he was yelling at started crying, and it was the ugly crying, so I didn't understand a word he was saying. But it was just like it was like I could not decipher what this person was saying. Okay, I could not decipher. But the guy's going, you got to leave, and then the crazy part was, I heard a car door slam and he drove off. So that's not good. So I it could, who knows? Like, logically, this is what I'm thinking would happen. The person who fell asleep on the banana tree probably used to live there, okay? And then was drunk and then went, quote unquote, home, but was drunk. So because he couldn't open up the door, because I'm assuming he doesn't have keys to the house anymore because he doesn't live there. It was like, fuck it, I'll just go to the backyard and sleep because it's my house. I'll be okay. That's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think like a drunk person, and I'm also trying to think like a person who's in blackout mode. Because like when you're blackout mode drunk, it's like, you just your body, goes to factory settings, and like, you still function the way you would normally function, but you sometimes, you didn't get the update, so you go back to the old ways. So like, like you'll drive home, but to your home that you lived for 5 years, and not the home that you've been renting for 3 months. You know what I mean? Like that. So, because that's happened to me where like I was in blackout mode and I walked home, and I don't remember walking home, but I had walked home from that bar so many times, it was just automatic. And so, and I had trained myself that when I walk home to always lean on the street light. I mean the crosswalk pole. Well, yeah, I guess the street light. So in case I did walk home in blackout mode, I would always stop and make sure I could cross the street. Like I would never jaywalk. I would always make sure like my body was programmed to like wait for the light and all that stuff. But anyway, so I don't know what happened, but because the person was like mumbling and just talking to me, I didn't understand. So I'm assuming this is not. Yeah, I'm assuming this is like the third or fourth time it's happened, because like the person was like, "This isn't your home," so I'm assuming the person has like crashed there before. I'm just assuming so, but you know, being a drunk detective, like I'm trying to analyze and piece together what really happened. But like I could just go over my neighbor's house, and go, "Hey, what happened last night?" But I don't want to, so I'm not. But hopefully, hopefully that's all the drama we have to have, because usually we don't get lots of we don't get lots of random drug addicts around here. The closest thing is like there's people who live here. Like everyone has like the neighborhood drunk or the neighborhood whatever. And God, I haven't seen our neighborhood drunk in a while. He might have died. I don't know, because like, he was always drunk. When we had a neighborhood drunk named Lamont. and I used to call him a different name, but that's because uh he told me the wrong name. Like, he told me his name was Stefan, and so I would just call him Steph. And for years, because he was always drunk. Oh wait, let me tell you how I met him first. Um, I no, and this is random though, because I was at the Third Street Promenade with my girlfriend. This is years ago, okay? And we're at the Third Street Promenade, and for some reason I was inside the mall and had to get something real quick or something, just at this one store or whatever. I know it doesn't make sense, but she was sitting outside of Tanner's, and so I had to go inside and grab something real quick. And so I come outside, and so she's sitting next to this guy, this black guy, this older black guy, and I was just like, "What are you doing?" Because like I know she doesn't like black people. Um, I think how old was she? She was like, I don't know, she was like 16. Anyway, so she's sitting next to, or this black guy sitting next to her, and she's reading a piece of paper that the guy gave her. And so I walk up to him, and so she's telling him what's on the paper. And, I don't interfere. I'm just like, you know, halfway paying attention. And so the guy's like, okay. And like, he like walks away. I'm like, what was that? And she's like, oh, well, he can't read. And he was trying to figure out how much money he had in his bank. And so like the guy had given her his I mean a letter from the bank, and so she was reading it to him and just telling him like what it said. Like, it was the most random thing, because the guy walked up to her and was like, you look like you could read. Okay, but that's on the Third Street Promenade. Okay, and I know this is gonna be around. I'm not making this up. Years later, okay, years later, I'm at the bus stop near my house, and it's like, God, it's like 4:30 in the morning, and I know I don't have to take the bus at 4:30 in the morning. I was just bored, and I went for a walk, and I had to. I don't know if I had to go to work in the morning, but I was sitting at the bus stop. Okay. Anyway, I'm sitting at the bus stop, and so so that same guy, but this is years later, so I don't recognize him. This is years later, like over 10 years later. Um, I'm sitting at the bus stop, and this guy comes and sits on the bus stop and pulls out a piece of paper. He's like, "Um, can you read?" And he sounded like that though. Can you read? And he's drunk though. And I'm like, yeah. And so he pulls out his bank statement, and he goes, can you tell me how much money I have in my bank statement? I mean, in my bank account. And I forgot the amount, but I'm like, yeah, oh, it says you have like, whatever, like four. No, I do remember. It was like $4,637. And I'm like, yeah, you got 4,000. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can you help me take it out the ATM? Because he didn't know which numbers to push at the ATM. I'm like, okay. so so I walk with him to 7-Eleven. It's like a block away. I walk with him to 7-Eleven, and I show him how to use the ATM, but like he doesn't know what numbers are. Like he doesn't know, but I just show him. I'm like, because like on the bank statement it said what his PIN was, and anyway, no, I'm sorry. On his bank statement it did not say what his PIN was, but he had a piece of paper with him that said what his PIN was. There you go. Yeah, it's a piece of paper that said what his PIN was, and so, but the thing was he didn't. The thing that didn't make sense to me was even if you can't read, when it comes to numbers, you can't match the numbers anyway. But anyway, he needed me to get the money out. Oh, I'm sorry, because like he didn't know what yes and no and all that stuff was. So like he could read the numbers, but he didn't know like the other questions the ATM was gonna ask. So anyway, so we go to the 7-Eleven and I take his card and I go yes and like checking like all the questions that you're gonna take from checking, take from deposit, blah blah blah. So I do that and so I'm like, well, how much money do you want? I take out whatever, $100 for him, and that was it. But like it was the same guy that my girlfriend was talking to at the promenade, and in that like God, it had to be over 10 years because I was. God, how old was I when that happened? I mean, I was in my 30s. So, I don't know. I think I might have been, I'm pretty sure I was in my 30s. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, just for the sake of this conversation, let's just say it had been 10 years. Just for the sake of this, I don't know the exact. You're telling me in those 10 years he still hadn't learned how to read? That's amazing. Like that is amazing. And I know because like he was because the for the first time we met he looked like he was in his like late 20s, early 30s. Okay, so you're telling me that that like you can still function in society. I just don't understand. I don't. Okay, okay. If I was 30 years old, walking up to a high school kid, can you read this for me? Like, don't you think that that's a wake up call to like, hey, maybe I should learn how to read? Because you're, you know, 30 years old, asking a 16-year-old to read your bank statement, like that's that's just weird, right? I mean, there has to be a point where you're like, okay, listen, okay, I gotta man up. I gotta get my reading rainbow on. Or at least learn how to read enough where you can use an ATM on your own. So, like, learn what the word checking, deposit, yes, no. Like, he didn't know anything. And with the numbers too, he didn't. Because like when he asked me how much money he had in his account, and like the bank statements said 4,000 whatever, he didn't even know numbers. Like, how do you not know what any of this means? And I'm like, and yes, he was on government assistance. Like, he was on I don't know what it's called. Like, it was probably disability, but he could carry on normal conversations. Like, he wasn't retarded. He looked completely normal back then, and he looked completely normal now. Like, there was nothing. He wasn't retarded. The only thing I could tell that was wrong with him was he was drunk, and unless he had maybe drug persisting dementia, that now that's possible. There's no excuse for him to not know how to read, especially after that 10-year gap. You think you would have learned after asking a 16-year-old girl to read your damn bank statement. It made no sense to me. I was floored, but anyway, I haven't seen him in a long time. Like the neighborhood drug, it's been a while because I used to see him all the time. I mean, everyone would, but like everyone would be afraid of him because he would he would walk really funny. Like he didn't have a drunk walk. He had a God. He walked. God, what was that? Jeez, what was that really weird? Um, I was gonna say like Monty Python. He walked like it. He walked like he was dancing in the 1960s. If that made any sense, he walked like Austin Powers. Yeah, like he walked. he walked. He walked like a drunk Austin Powers in a music video. If that makes any sense, I hope it does. But that's exactly what he walked like. A drunk Austin Powers. If Austin Powers made a music video, like it kind of. Except he's black, and he was it was it was amazing how this man walked. Okay, like if you dress like Austin Powers or just from the 1960s, he would actually look normal, and people probably wouldn't be afraid of him, and everyone would just think, oh, that's just a regular weirdo from L.A. But because he's dressed quote unquote normal, you're like, okay, what's going on? Why is this person walking like this? Why is he shaking? Because he would shake too because he's probably dying. And I just remember like random people going, yeah, like I'm afraid of that guy. Like that guy looks like he's like he's the kind of guy that you would cross the street if you saw him. Like any normal person, if you saw him, you would cross the street. I'm not exaggerating. Not me though. I would go, what's up? Because I would call him Steph for the longest time. What up, Steph? Give him a high five or give him a dap. You go and he'd be like, because if he didn't like have something to say, he'd be like he would literally sound like a dog growling. You read my bank statement? Can you read my bank statement? But if you're just walking by, like passing him by on the street, like like what? Like and just reek of alcohol. So I mean, he had to be in permanent blackout mode. That had to be perma black, perma drunk. Nice guy though. Never felt threatened by him or anything, but it's like everything about him says watch out. But and then it was a few times you'd see him walking with a young girl though. It was probably like his. I hope it's not his daughter. It can't be his daughter, but he would be. And I know it's not his girlfriend, but it had to be some younger family member, obviously. But, um, you know, he would mumble, and she understood every word he said. But Helen probably was his daughter. Isn't it crazy? A guy like that can like reproduce, and then you got people like us who, can't get a text back. Just kidding. I don't even text. I ignore people. I pretend I'm the only one living on this planet, actually. But yeah, I haven't seen him in. God, I really have to think now, because like my sense of time, and I know it's been 5 years, but my sense of time was completely destroyed by the lockdown. It really was because imagine, once again, my sense of time is off. Imagine not doing anything for a long time. You know, and so because you don't have a schedule anymore, it's like a day. whatever, like a week turns into a month really fast, a month turns into 6 months really, it's just my sense of time was just really off. And then like it never came back. It was weird. And like I'm an adult, and it's weird how my sense of time never came back. So you can imagine how messed up like all these children are who had to go through the lockdown during their developmental years. Oh boy, we're gonna have some fucked up times coming up, people. We're gonna have some real fucked up times coming up. Like in the next 5 years, it's gonna start. We're gonna see some crazy times, and then in the next 15 years, we're gonna see the job market really depend on robots. And in 20 years, yeah, it's like AI is gonna be running shit. Okay, and then after that, the next batch of kids, they're all of their jobs are gonna be strictly um strictly computer related or tradesman related. That's it. Like it's gonna be the extreme on both ends. It's gonna be people that work with their hands or people that work with computers, but they're both gonna get paid the same because everyone, because like we need plumbers, we need construction workers, and at the same time we're gonna need computer programmers or just whatever, like engineers. Like people can fix the robots, whatever. And of course, doctors and lawyers. So it'll be doctors, lawyers, anything related with tech, and then anything related with trade. Uh, you know, uh, like electricians, plumbers, construction workers. But there's gonna be no middle. Like you're not gonna see people majoring in like I don't know women's studies. Like you're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see someone major in what's something stupid that doesn't mean anything. Oh yeah, like Black history. Like you're not gonna see these stupid majors that just don't that just have no use in society anymore because things are so different, and because half the jobs are going to be taken over by uh, robots. Because people keep I don't, at least here in California, they keep raising the minimum wage. I don't know why. Because the only thing it does, it makes companies fire people, and it makes companies automize. And like when you go into to McDonald's, you don't have to talk to a cashier. There's a kiosk and you just order there. And then some McDonald's don't even have people making the food. It's robots make the food. So because they keep raising the minimum wage. I mean, it makes no sense to keep raising the minimum wage. Because if you want to make a difference, lower the cost of living. If you lower the cost of living, you can get paid $2 an hour and it doesn't matter. But no, we just keep raising the minimum wage, which makes every single poor place raise the prices on everything. So the only people who get hurt by raising the minimum wage is poor people. So it is what it is. But people keep people are stupid, and they put stupid people in charge, and then keep voting the same way. So just things get worse. But this is what I think really happened with the neighborhood drunk. I mean, and I'm just basing, I'm not a doctor, but based on how much he drank, what happened was he probably got into an accident and just can't walk anymore, or they had an intervention, or he died. Those are the only three logical options. His family was like, "You gotta stop, Lamont. Lamont, no." He died, or was drunk in blackout mode and got hurt, and he's just chilling. That's probably what happened. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I've said enough. You guys have a good one. I hope you enjoyed the old school Overwatch gameplay. It's better than looking at me. You guys have a good one. Peace.